That's Leonard Faison, and he's the leading running back for this season's Northport Bobcats. When he touches the ball, good things happen. I'm Mixon and I'll have that story coming up on Game On Profiles.
Stop it.
That's Katy Mixon, and she's the leading scorer on her Rams team. We'll talk with her and her head coach about her success on the soccer field. Andre Johnson usually has the ball in his hands, and when that happens, it means good things for his Booker Tornadoes. All of those stories on this edition of Game On Profiles, and we kick off now.
Get out.
There you go.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Game On Profiles, where you get the chance to meet some of the outstanding student athletes from our Sarasota County District High Schools. I'm Maverick Johnson. The football season is over for the Northport Bobcats, and under their first-year head coach, the team finished 4-6, led on the field by one of their seniors, Leonard Faison. The team started to turn things around and had some very big wins this season. Leonard is their running back, and he also plays on defense, and he's got plans to continue playing after he graduates. Our student reporter, Mixon, talked with Leonard and his head coach about his game and his bright future.
Okay. What? Read it. They didn't get out there. Nice. They didn't get out there. There we go.
What's the feeling every Friday night when you're about to walk onto the field?
Well, it's a great feeling just to be able to play the game that I love.
What?
You know.
Wrong guy.
Has it been easy to balance classroom work and football practice?
Yes, it has. I usually finish most of my work in class, so I really don't have to worry about it after football practice.
What's the most important aspect of being a student athlete?
Well, you really got to be dedicated to what you're doing. If you're not dedicated, you're not going to be able to do it.
5-on-5.
What's it like when the coach goes to you almost 30 times a game to run the ball?
Well, I definitely have to be conditioned because that's a lot of carries.
How is it playing both offense and defense and still being ready to play your most important position at running back?
Well, like I said, you got to be conditioned. You know, it's tiring, but you know, you got to go out there and want to win games, and you got to do what you got to do.
As a captain, how do you try to get your team to succeed on the field or in the locker room? Or?
I try doing both, be a vocal leader and show by example.
You're obviously a great running back. What do you see in the future?
Well, I do want to go to college and play ball, and I plan on majoring in the medical field and sports medicine.
What schools are looking at you?
Michigan, USF, Missouri, and Marshall, Buffalo.
When you advance to the next level, how do you think it's going to be?
I know it's going to be a different ball game. You know, it's going to be a lot faster. So just got to go out there and give it my best and see what happens.
When the coach has you run, do you run on the inside, the outside? What are you looking to do to shake off the defense?
Well, I do a little both outside and inside, and I never run out of bounds. Always try to go for the hit, stiff arm, whatever to get as many yards as I can.
You've been 3 years on this Bobcats team. What's the most important part?
Well, I'm going to miss the feeling, you know, being with my family, my high school family, and my team, the coaches. It's just been a great experience, and I'm going to miss it.
Football's a game of numbers, and this season, Leonard averages 30 carries a game with 10 catches. He also gets 100 yards total, and last season he had 14 touchdowns. Like math or not, those numbers are adding up for the Bobcats.
All I'm doing, spread cross, 309 check, or it's spread L cross, 327 check, right?
What has Leonard showed to make him deserve possibly the most important role on the team?
Well, again, you know, it's not a single thing. You know, I had our kids vote for captains, and he was one of those captains that got voted on. It's, you know, we look at it as basically team is together, everyone achieves more. You know, I always talk about one heartbeat. You know, we all got to play together. It's just not about one young man. He just brings that special piece to the table because he's a great leader also.
How has Leonard helped you being captain for this team?
He's just, like I said, he is such a leader off the field, and I think a lot of people look at that. The administration looks like that. We came home from after playing Palmetto Ridge. We didn't get home till 1:30, and probably didn't get home into beds until about 2 o'clock in the morning. And Leonard was one of the first people here and went straight to his class to study for a quiz that morning at 7:15, and did very well on it. The teacher actually gave me an email, and things like that. When you receive stuff from other teachers and showing the administration passed that email all out throughout the school, and seeing that just kind of shows the example that he's trying to set for our Bobcat football team.
Where do you look to see him in the future?
I see him doing great things. I look at other people that I've coached and have the same types of talents and now doing great things in this world, and I think Leonard's one of those people that's going to go out. He's got a bright future. He's going to go get his further on his education, but at that same point, when he's done with that education, he's going to do great things.
When Leonard moves on next year, what are you going to miss most about him?
Just the whole atmosphere that he brings. I like to joke around a lot. He likes to joke. So when we're in the locker room, kind of have those little pranks going on here and there, and those are things that I look at. But the biggest thing I get back is when they come back and visit and telling me how they're doing. That's the biggest thing that I look at. That's where the gratitude comes from. It's not always about the wins and losses. It's about what they do after the fact of this great game, and those are the things that you miss having them on the field. But at that same point, I have so much more come to my heart when they come back and visit. And he'll be one of those kids I always be looking forward to see during vacation times.
Guys, line it up. Come on, Will.
All right, Mason, let's talk a little about practice. I want to get your perception. You were out there at practice, so he's senior captain, leader on the team. He's carrying the ball 30 times a game on average, but he's also playing a little defense. Talk to me about that a little bit.
When I was at the practice field, you get to see him on defense, talking to other players, both on the other side of the ball. The players he was facing, he was helping them out too. So.
He talked a little bit about, in your piece, which I thought was interesting, about becoming a leader, and through the years that he was on the team, kind of growing up into a leader role. Is that something you witnessed watching him at practice in terms of either the way he carried himself or interacting with his teammates?
Yeah, Leonard is a very humble guy. You don't really see that a lot with athletes who especially are very good at what they do, but he's very humble and very friendly and a good teammate.
What also struck me in your interview was he seemed very positive. He seemed very up. Talked a lot about good things, good traits, and so that really just struck me. Is that something you also, spending a day with him there, you got a sense of?
Definitely. You can tell he's a good guy, and he's very positive about what he does, and he's very positive about the team. He's always trying to help somebody else out on the team, or if somebody's down, he'll pick him up. So.
One of the things that Coach talked about, and he also talked about, was multitasking, getting the schoolwork done, because that's very important, and balancing that with his leadership role on the football team. And college is something that came up in your piece. What can you tell us, or can you expound a little bit more upon that?
Yeah, he's being looked at by some very big colleges, by Michigan and Louisville and Buffalo. So, you can obviously tell he's a good player, and, he's being recruited.
Well, just a positive young man, fun guy, and a good football player. Welcome to the team, Mason, and great job on the story.
Thank you.
All right, we've got more Game On Profiles in a minute. Stay with us here on the Education Channel.
That's Katy Mixon. She's the Rams' leading scorer, and she has big plans for her soccer career. Stop it. I'm Natasha Samuel, and I'll have that story coming up on Game On Profiles.
That's low. That's low and below. Look, he's blushing. Seriously.
Welcome back, Game On Profiles. I'm Maverick Johnson. For our next story, Katy Mixon is the leading scorer this season for her Riverview Rams soccer team. Katy's played all 4 years on the varsity team, and she has really blossomed and become a scoring machine. Our student reporter, Natasha Samuel, talked with Katy and her head coach to find out about her success on the field and her plans to keep playing after she graduates.
Why did you start playing soccer?
I started when I was really young. A lot of my family was playing soccer, my uncle, my cousins, and they just really got me involved. I've been pretty much involved since I was younger than 2, so I've just stuck with it.
Oh, what do you feel you bring to the team?
I bring a lot of scoring opportunities. I set up some pretty good passes for forwards and things like that, and I have pretty good ball control.
How does it feel to score a goal?
It's one of the best feelings, probably that I've ever felt. It's just so much fun and exhilarating, and to celebrate with your teammates is the best.
Allie, Golnick!
How do you stay so humble?
It's basically my team. I wouldn't be able to score if I didn't have my team, and even if I was scoring goals, I still need the defense to keep the other goals from going in, so it's just a team effort mostly. It's not a one-person sport.
What goals have you accomplished playing this sport?
I've become a lot better leader than I would have been without playing the sport. Without the sport, my leadership skills would be a lot less than they are now.
How do you condition for soccer?
A lot of running. It's basically, you run probably around 3 miles a game, so you just really have to condition yourself in the long run.
How do you balance IB and soccer?
I mostly I take my time, I set my time aside for homework, get all my homework done, and then I go to soccer, and if I still have homework after, then I have to stay up as late as I can to finish it.
Is it difficult?
It's gotten difficult at times, but soccer is basically like an escape from homework, so that's definitely helped. I would probably go crazy if I just had the homework and not soccer.
Katy!
As you look back on your soccer career, what are you going to remember most?
Probably my high school soccer years. They've been the most fun, and I've gotten to spend so much time with my friends and gotten closer to them through high school soccer, and I'll probably be friends with them later on, and I'll be able to share these memories through high school soccer with them. Someone play the ball.
Katy's been on varsity all 4 years and is the Rams' leading scorer. And her coach loves nothing more than to see Katy put the ball in the net.
We need to win every 50-50. We need to have our first touch.
What's it like to see Katy score?
She usually chest butts another player on the field, if that's what you call it, and everyone goes wild. Last year we had a pretty decent season, but sometimes the goals weren't always there, so I tell the girls, you need to cherish that moment when you score a goal and embrace it. And she gets excited and happy, and she's not an overly cocky person. So she's pretty well grounded and understands that she celebrates a little bit and then it's right back to game time.
What is it like having a dominant presence on the team?
It's nice because I know, given a situation, if it's still 0-0 and we have 8 minutes left in a game, I know Katy is going to step up and play 110% to do what she needs to do in order to score the goal.
Does she do things that surprises you on the field even after having her for 4 years?
Absolutely. Yeah, she does. An example of that would be, her first year. I'd have to tell her, you've got that skill to take someone one-on-one and to beat them. And she was real hesitant in the beginning to do that. And now you give her the ball and she's got it at her feet. And like the other night, she did a step over move, I think 3 times for a defender, and then shot it upper 90 to the back of the net to score a goal. And you're just like, wow, that's collegiate level soccer right there. So it's nice to see.
What will you miss next year after Katy graduates?
Her humor, her ability to score in tight situations, win or lose. She usually steps up and scores that goal in the clutch. And I'm gonna miss. I've had her for 4 years, so I'm gonna miss her on and off the field. She makes the team kind of come together. So.
If I was good.
All right, let's talk a little about Katy. You actually know her a little bit.
Yes, we're on the Rampage staff together, the newspaper at our school.
And, you know, academics is something that's very important. You were telling me something really interesting about her when it comes to academics.
Yeah, she's in the IB program, which is the gifted program at Riverview, and she's been in there since she was a freshman, and that's a big accomplishment.
Well, and then she's also blossomed on the soccer team. We were talking to Coach in your piece, how she's just grown through the years, and she's played a multitude of positions. What did you kind of notice when you were out there at practice that day with Katy?
She definitely adjusts to what her team needs. Like, she'll play different positions if it's needed. And she's grown up with a group of seniors that started when they were freshmen. So it's a tight-knit group of girls.
Let's talk a little bit about something that she really mentioned to you, and it was leadership skills that she says soccer has really helped her. Whether it be balancing the academics or changing positions on the team, she really highlighted it to you that it has really helped her become a leader. Is that something you witnessed that day at practice?
Yes, you can definitely tell that she's a leader on the team and that she carries the team when important plays are needed to be made.
You know, one of the things that Coach said in the piece was she's really good in the clutch. And I think that leadership trait that she kind of talked about with you is kind of key. She seems to thrive on that, needing to score a goal or the team's down. Did you pick up on that part of her personality?
Yes, you can definitely tell she's humble, but she knows when she needs to score for the team and when she needs to give an assist.
It's interesting, too, as we close this piece, she does want to play soccer at the next level, and Coach said that's probably going to happen?
Yes, IB definitely helps you get into colleges a lot better, but I know that a couple of D2 schools and smaller schools are looking at her.
Well, great story, great young student athlete. Thanks for the story.
Thank you.
We've got more Game On Profiles in a minute. Stay with us here on the Education Channel.
That is senior point guard Andre Johnson, and he likes the ball in his hands and likes to take shots. We'll find out about his love for the game.
All right, guys, let's do the exact same thing.
I'm Jillian James, and I'll have that story coming up on Game On Profiles.
$7,000 high school students drop out every school day. Let's catch them before it's too late. To start helping students in your community, visit boostup.org.
Welcome back to Game On Profiles. I'm Maverick Johnson. For our final story, the Booker Tornadoes boys basketball team has one senior that is making a difference on the court for his team. He's Andre Johnson, and he is their point guard. Andre is also a scorer, and he likes to take his shots. Our student reporter, Jillian James, was at practice and found out why basketball is so important to Andre and how basketball is helping him to achieve his dreams.
Good, let's go.
Can you describe your playing style?
I like to score, pass, get my teammates involved.
What do you do when you play basketball being a point guard?
I have to talk. That's something I have to get better at, being able to talk and get my team more involved.
How do you balance basketball and school?
Kind of easy, just set up a schedule and just follow the schedule.
Count them up. 5 out.
What's it like getting a point as the clock is running down?
It's very exciting. Feels very good after the game, but it only lasts so long.
What has basketball done for you in life and allowed you to do in your life?
It lets me play this game. It lets me play basketball and stay out of trouble instead of going out partying and getting in trouble and stuff like that.
Close your mouth, let's go.
What's it like at the end of the game when the time's running down? What are some emotions that you're feeling?
Nerves, a lot of nerves, but yes, I want to go.
Why?
Because I feel that's the best for the team.
Now, are you more of a scorer or do you more focus on getting the ball into the hands of your team?
I have to be both. I have to be both, especially with this team. I have to get both involved, and I have to score at the same time.
What schools are interested in you?
Texas State and Harvard.
Can you describe your plans for the future?
Go to college for 4 years and hopefully get a degree and see where the world takes me.
And what are you going to study in college?
I want to study law in college.
What's the best thing about playing basketball?
It gives me something to do in my spare time. Hopefully it's my ticket out of Sarasota. Paying for my college, hopefully it'll pay for my college and stuff like that, being able to stay out of trouble.
Andre is a point guard, which requires great leadership skills. He is the one that his teammates pass to when the clock is running down, and he's not afraid to make the big shot.
Work hard on three, work hard on three. 1, 2, 3. Work hard.
Yeah, does he want the ball when time's running down?
He wants the ball when time is up, not even when it's running. Of course, he wants it in his hand, and he will have it in his hand. That's a definite, and people would know that the ball is going to Andre, and that's what it's going to be. Whether he succeeds or not, he accepts the challenge, and we're going to give it to him.
And what are some good qualities in his playing style?
He's a leader. He wants to be a leader. Actually, the kid looks to him for leadership. He's mannerable. Everything is a yes sir, a no sir. A coach's dream in terms of how hard you want somebody to work, how you want them to carry themselves. I can trust him anywhere with anything. He's that kind of a kid.
And as a point guard, what are some of his good qualities?
Andre sees the floor really well. By that I mean he anticipates the basketball game. He knows where a player is going before he gets there. He actually, sometimes even with his passes, he guides them to where he wants them to go. He's unselfish.
Can you describe what his future looks like?
They said his future is bright, whether it's academically or basketball. It doesn't really matter. Because he's a competitor. And his competitiveness translates from basketball to academics. So he'll do well either way. His future is bright. And if it's not, I'm going to be very, very disappointed.
Good enough. Let's get those 3 guys in here, okay? What I want you guys to do, 3 guys work.
All right, well, Jillian, let's talk a little about this. I know you like sports, so basketball, a sport of yours?
Well, actually, basketball is one of the few sports that I don't watch, but I got to learn a lot about it when I was interviewing Andre.
So let's talk a little bit about, give me your perception being at a basketball practice, because it's obviously a little bit different than a game. You get to learn a little bit more about the game and the technique behind it. It's something maybe you picked up that you'd like to share with us about being at practice while you're watching Andre?
Well, they practice very hard at Booker, and they have really extreme practices, and they really push the boys, but they've been doing really well so far.
Let's talk a little about his position. Point guard is an interesting position because sometimes it's only to distribute the ball, but sometimes they need you to also score, and he's in that unique position where he has to get other people involved, but he also has to score. And he actually talked about liking that dual role.
Yes, he excels at both of those things, and he really has proven that he's an asset in more than one way.
You know, one of the things that Coach mentioned in the piece was how much of a leader he is on the team, not just on the court, but off the court, on being able to set a schedule on balancing being in the classroom and being on the court. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, Andre is a very driven person, and he really cares about both academics and sports, and he really tries hard to excel in both.
It's interesting because when you were talking about college, that's something he definitely wants to do. Very impressive. Pre-law is something that he's interested in. But one of the schools caught my ear in your piece, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Can you tell me a little bit about that school?
Yes, well, he said that Harvard was interested in him, and that would be an amazing opportunity for him. And we really hope that he has a bright future.
Well, just a great job on the story. Great young man. Thank you, Jillian.
Thank you.
All right, we got more Game On Profiles in a minute. Stay with us here on the Education Channel.
Get caught buzzed driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off. Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right, well, welcome back to Game On Profiles. We got with us my friend Pete Dombrowski, the athletic director of Venice High School. Thanks for coming, Pete.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, let's talk a little about some of the positive things that students achieve by being on teams and playing sports in high school, Pete.
Okay, it's very important. It's not just athletics, but I think any extracurricular activity in the school is very important to be part of the school. One thing that we do athletic-wise is that we watch over our students. You have to have a 2-0 to participate, but we have study halls. We have our coaches overlook our students to make sure they're doing the right thing, attending classes, getting their work done. If they're having trouble, we'll get them a tutor. We're there, and that's why we go student-athlete.
Does it motivate kids, maybe kids that are on a fringe or maybe kids that are near that 2.0 or maybe don't have a lot of friends or family or whatever? Do athletics give them another part of a family to be a part of?
It is a family. As you know, you play in athletics, you become part of something. It's a family. That's how we take it as a family, no matter what the sport is. If it's golf with 5 student athletes on the team or the football team with 60. You're part of something. You represent not only your team, your school, but also your community, no matter which school you go to.
I want you to talk a little bit about something that, you know, we do this show and we get to see kids and have them interact with our student reporters, and leadership and multitasking are some of the things that have come up that kids have learned through athletics. Can you expound on maybe those traits or some other traits you've seen kids that you have coached through the years and some of the skill sets they developed just from being a part of a team in high school?
Well, the major part is giving back. That's the major part of our athletic department, is producing good athletes who are going to go back out into our community and give back to our community. We try to make them role models for the little leaguers, the Pop Warner children, so they do become leaders, which helps them further in life when they go into the business world and when they enter college. They know how to lead and not follow and make good choices and make the right choices that are going to keep them on track to be successful.
You know, leadership, multitasking, being part of the community are all really important parts. Let's talk about that next step, though, evolution. After high school, you want kids to develop a trade, or you want them to go to school. College is one of those things where scholarships are a part. And I think sometimes people look at scholarships, they think about the big schools they see on TV. But I know you have had a lot of success with smaller schools where you're not going to see them on television. But those academic opportunities through athletics, even at lower levels, that can change a kid's life.
It sure can. And you know what? If a student athlete wants to go to the next, there's always a school they could participate. Baseball, basketball, there's the junior colleges which allow the students to go on to a junior college and play. There's the stars can go on to a 4-year college, of Florida, Florida State. But there's also Division III schools, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, the bottom line is to get an education. You never know in athletics when your last game will be. Some are lucky and can make the pros and retire at 40 years old. Some of us don't make it that far and have to fall back on something such as athletic director, teacher, radio personality. So there's all different avenues that athletics can take you. And when you can respond and handle the pressure of athletics, you're going to handle the pressure not only of work, but of your family, because, you know, in relationships and raising children, it's not easy. And the hardest thing is to be able to handle those pressures. And athletics gives you that.
Pete, great job, great work at Venice High School. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Maverick. It's a pleasure.
All right. That'll wrap up this edition of Game On Profiles. We want to thank all of our student reporters for their stories. For all of us from Game On Profiles, we thank you for joining us. I'm Maverick Johnson. Game On.